All right. Good evening, folks. This is Corey Thorpe. I am here with John Cooper, and we, like you, are waiting with bated breath as to the start of the NAIA football bracket reveal. We are hitting F5 just as much as any one of you. You can see that I am a little bit remote here on the road, and John is in the NAIAFBALL headquarters here. John, how are you doing tonight?
Corey, I am very excited. I'm excited that we are finally here to find out which 16 teams get in. I know the NAIA is traditionally, a little delayed on when they do the announcement, but I am pumped. 16 teams that deserve to get in. Corey, there's a lot of good teams that are going to be staying home this year that usually make the playoffs.
All right, here we go.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Why am I not getting sound? Sound. Oh, it's because I have it muted. Maybe. Huh.
Well, let's go. It's maybe because they haven't talked yet. Oh, there's our guy.
All right, so there's Jim Powers. Man, I wish. What is going on here where it's not pulling in?
Don't fret it, Corey.
Yeah,
let's just go with it. Let's roll with it.
Let's roll with it. All right.
So we can read his lips, man. He's talking about champions of character right now.
No
our
new
buddy
taxes.
He's fixing to start off with Morningside. Who we got predicted to go to Morningside, Corey?
I've done some re-looking. I think they're going to get Ottawa.
Really?
Yep.
Is this on the Play NAIA?
Yes, this is YouTube on the Play NAIA YouTube channel. So what they're talking about now is how do you get an automatic berth? So basically,
so if you guys don't know, if you don't want to read all that, you got to be an automatic berth if you win your conference championship and finish in the top 20. At-large berths, we're expecting 4 at-large berths today because we expect all 12 conference/divisional champions to be taken, if that makes sense. So only 4 at-larges are going to get in, and we know for sure of 3 of them. Northwestern is 1. Marion is 2nd. Corey, I would imagine the 3rd is Lindsey Wilson. We do not know the 4th for sure. Morningside is the number 1 seed. You're looking at their stats. They are absolutely unbelievable. Joe Dolanchek at quarterback, he's the best player in the league, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And
no surprise.
A national high, 57
hey, look at that.
per contest. The team from Sioux City,
I figured it out.
Also has one of the top defenses in the nation, as they have only given up 14 points a game. The number 2 overall seed are the Vikings.
All right,
of Grandview.
so Grandview's number 2.
The Vikings claim the Heart of America North Division for the 4th consecutive season with a 39-7 victory over Clark Saturday afternoon to wrap up the regular season with a perfect 11-0 record. The team from Des Moines, Iowa ranked 7th in the country in scoring with an average of 42 points per game and is 2nd in the country defensively. The number 3 overall seed are the Red Raiders of Northwestern.
Number 3 seed
the Red Raiders finished the regular season on
no
a
surprise
9-game
there.
winning
Their only
streak
blemish
by
on the
defeating
season
Hastings
is
41-10 Saturday. Northwestern's only blemish of the year was an opening game loss to rival Morningside in the first week of the regular season by only 1
past
point.
15 games, but they won where it mattered most in the 2020 playoffs, the COVID season when they went to
this
the
is the one.
championship.
That's a big one right there.
Bethel, number 4 seed. They deserve it. I was surprised to see Indiana Wesleyan not the 4th seed there, but Bethel, they run the table in the Mid-South. That's the SEC of the NAIA.
Oh, no. Don't do this. I think number 5 is going to be Indiana Wesleyan here. Why am I? Yes, I want. All right. Hopefully, I got everybody back.
It's already been posted, Corey, if that makes sense. I know that sounds crazy.
What? Already?
Yeah. Yeah, this was pre-recorded on their end. You should have known
Whoa.
that.
I know it's
It
pre-recorded.
wasn't a live thing. So I don't want to, Corey. If you just refresh your screen and go to the Play NAIA YouTube channel, we can just go ahead and watch it from there. I don't want to play spoilers here because I know a lot of people didn't see it. But if you are a Sooner Athletic Conference fan, let me go ahead and tell you, you are going to be very excited if you're from Arizona, rooting for those teams. But only one of you made it. Ottawa, Arizona, or Arizona Christian, and it happened to be Arizona Christian, making it as the 16th seed. There you go. Let's just go ahead and talk about it.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
That was unexpected. I think that was unexpected.
Holy cow! You're not kidding.
Especially from what we had. I think this is one of the biggest surprises since me and you've been covering NAIA football for the past 5 years.
I'm shocked there. Bethel Kaiser. That's a good matchup. Indiana Wesleyan Avila. I guessed that one. And Benedictine Southwestern, Marion St. Xavier. That makes sense with giving
with the location. And guys, if you don't know, in NAIA, a big thing is the travel capacity is 800 miles. If you're over 800 miles from your opponent, you fly. If you don't know, the NAIA is not like Division I. We don't have the resources to. I say we. I played NAIA football. Corey has been following it religiously for the past few years with me. We don't have the Division I resources, so when they do these matchups, they have to do it realistically for traveling reasons. I'm
shocked about Arizona Christian. I thought Sagu.
I thought it would be Ottawa, Arizona.
I thought Uaz had it with that seed. Wow, I prep a little bit on this, and that was not in my plans at all. I totally had Ottawa of Arizona here.
Let me go ahead and tell you. I know we're getting a lot of St. Thomas chatter in our chat room. I think it might have been not purposefully, but with St. Xavier at the 11th seed, I think they're going to use that as a justification for leaving St. Thomas out if we were to get an interview with somebody, which I think that's crazy. St. Xavier obviously got the automatic berth of winning their conference. St. Thomas, who only had one NAIA loss, the other was to a FCS team by one possession, Butler, the Bulldogs, right? The one that plays great basketball. I don't pay attention to basketball that much. But, St. Thomas, I believe, have every right to be in this playoffs, especially with a 21-point win on the road against the number 11 seed. But like I said, good teams are going to be left at home. It's crazy, especially look at Bethel over there in Kansas. They got left out, and all they did was just lose one in-conference game, and the team they beat is also in the mix in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. John, I appreciate you riffing for me there, since I'm trying to get the stat.
Yeah, no problem. Well, you continue doing that, and I'm just going to go ahead and go down the list a little bit.
Yep.
I'm going to go start in the bottom right quadrant right there, Lindsey Wilson, Reinhardt. Guys, I believe this was a matchup made like a lot of them. Just geographically, it makes sense. If you didn't know, the Mid-South Conference was 3 divisions. It is now split. Reinhardt is the Appalachian champion, going over to the third at-large from Lindsey Wilson's from the Mid-South. They won the national championship just 2 years ago. This is going to be a compelling matchup. Lindsey Wilson has shown their struggles at times, where Reinhardt's only loss is over there to the left against 4th seed Bethel. Going up, you got Marion, who is no stranger to the NAIA playoffs. I believe have won 3 out of the last 4 Mid-States, Mid-East titles. They're coming in at-large because their one loss is over to the number 5 seed, Indiana Wesleyan. They're going against St. Xavier, who has ripped off 8 straight wins. Like we said, a lot of St. Thomas chatter in there. Their one NAIA loss, St. Xavier, was to St. Thomas, 21 points early in the season at home. The other one was a blowout loss to Division II Indianapolis. Corey, we'll get the predictions later. As a Marion fan, I think you got to be pretty happy with this matchup, especially with the history of Mid-State East teams against Mid-State West teams. Going up, Southwestern, the Jinx over there, the Mound Builders, get the at-large spot out of the KCAC. They were co-champions. They are traveling to Benedictine, the Ravens, who were part of our first national championship, Corey. They played Morningside very close over there in Daytona Beach. That's going to be a great one. Avila, who won the KCAC by point differential between Southwestern and Bethel. They got the automatic qualifier, and they are traveling to Indiana Wesleyan. If you don't remember, Corey, Indiana Wesleyan had some troubles last year. Remember, they self-reported an ineligible player they used, and they had to drop out of the playoffs last year. Kansas Wesleyan had a bye.
Yep, that is absolutely correct.
To the bottom left, Kaiser, the Sun Conference champion, who has the most losses in the playoffs at 3 losses, but they are undefeated in NAIA play. Their losses were to Valdosta State, which everybody in this chat knows that Valdosta State is usually a killer in D2. They didn't have the normal year Valdosta State's used to. They lost to Mississippi College, and then they lost to FCS Lindenwood, but they were undefeated in NAIA play. Going up, Northwestern versus Dickinson State. Corey, keep an eye on it. These two, you love getting matched up in the playoffs. I believe Northwestern won the last one between these two, the last playoff match. But remember two matchups ago, I think it was 2017 or 18, Dickinson State surprised Northwestern. And I think there's a lot of fans upset that Dickinson State got in as an automatic qualifier in the top 20 because they have been performing poorly recently out of conference. They lost to Division II Black Hills State, and then they lost to a unranked Montana Western from the Frontier. So you got to be wondering about that. And then number 15th seed Carroll, who has 6 NAIA national championships. They are NAIA royalty. A lot of you probably know the Sports Illustrated picture of, a random white uniform team in the mud just winning a national championship. That is the Carroll Saints. They are going over to Grandview. Fun fact, Corey, Grandview, Nick Nurse that coaches the Toronto Raptors, he got a start at Grandview. But they don't care about that. Joe Woodley over there leads Grandview Vikings. He has taken over, I believe this is year 3 of taking over for his dad. Joe was a great linebacker at Iowa State. And then, of course, the matchup, Arizona Christian, who gets the nod out of the 3 Sooner Athletic Conference teams. My heart goes out to Ottawa, Arizona, Texas Wesleyan, because you're all right there. It's going to be amazing to see what the coaches' poll is come tomorrow. I believe that's when it comes out, see how close these teams were. But Arizona Christian can't feel great for long because they got the tallest task of them all. Basically going to the bully of the NAIA and seeing if they can stand up to them because Morningside is used to getting these number 1 seeds, Corey. They haven't lost a regular season game since, I believe, 2013-14 when they lost to Wisconsin Whitewater. I can't even remember the last time they lost a playoff game was 2 years ago, correct? Because they went undefeated last year.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So, that's a tall task, and Morningside is known for bullying their first round opponents. So that's the layout. Corey, do you want to just go ahead and give your opinion? I know I'm long-winded here.
No, you're good.
Like I said, my heart goes out to the good, great teams that got left out this year. I wish NAIA had bowl games. I think some guys from Reddit may be in the chat. They talked about crowdfunding a Reddit, college football bowl game. That would be cool if they did an NAIA one. It only costs $30,000 to do that. And 2 great teams could get together and we could see some great football. Stream it on our channel. We could do it, make it happen. But, it sucks that some teams, their season ended yesterday. And but you had to be almost unscathed, some of these teams, to make it. I think going into every season, you know how NAIA football works, and it's just crazy. Somebody in the chat said the coaches poll just uploaded, Corey. Wow, that would be pretty rare for a Sunday night, right? I thought they waited till the day after. No, we got it. It's the final poll.
Nice. Okay.
The final poll.
So
that's what you should switch your screen to real quick, just so we can see. Maybe if we can split it.
Yep.
I don't know if that's possible. Wow. St. Thomas is at 15.
Woof. Yeah, the Victory Bowl is between.
I don't want to dominate the chat about the teams that have lost out. But seeing Bethel at 14 and St. Thomas at 15, they're above some other playoff teams. And I'm wondering how, Corey, you need to explain how the coaches poll doesn't necessarily decide the playoffs, because Auto Arizona is ranked a spot above Arizona Christian.
Oh dear. Okay, so the Sooner. Okay, so here's what's either we were told incorrectly about the Sooner tiebreaker, or something went horribly wrong, because as we were told, the Sooner tiebreaker was supposed to be whoever was ranked highest, and
that has to really itch now.
Holy cow! Yeah, that's I'll put it this way: if I'm an Ottawa fan, that really grinds my gears.
Yes, there's some teams that have to be very upset now.
Hopefully the guest that we're going to bring on is going to have knowledge of the situation. We'll be able to speak to it. So hopefully we'll get something on.
I feel bad for that guy. Holy cow!
So hopefully we'll be able to do that real quick.
Don't get me wrong, Arizona Christian deserves a bid. I firmly believe that. They ended up beating Ottawa 40-38 on the field, but then you got Texas Wesleyan right there as well, and they're ranked at 22.
Yeah.
That is just some yikes.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. So looking to...
Okay, hold on. Champion Sports Network just typed something. Hey, guys, keep typing so we get it. It said ACU won the head-to-head matchup with Ottawa, Arizona, so they got the auto bid. But here's my thing. Guys, tell me why wouldn't Texas Wesleyan get considered in that as well? Because we were told the highest ranked team. And we don't know every conference tiebreaker. Like the KCAC was point differential between the three teams, which Avila ended up on top of that. So I need to know before this stream ends, which looks like it's going to be a while, why that happened.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what we get. But while we're waiting on our guest to come up, let's take a look at how we got here. Why did the teams that we get here? And first of all, it's going to be St. Francis defeating St. Xavier, or St. Xavier beating St. Francis. What a Freudian slip. Justin Pringle going for 8 receptions, 133 yards. Sam Tumbleton just got sacked a few too many times there. There were a few too many penalties for St. Francis, and St. Xavier took the MSFA Midwest.
All right, hold on, Corey. So now I want to talk about this as well because, amazingly, St. Xavier kind of feels like the same situation from last year with that overtime.
Mm-hmm.
But Champion Sports Network, who, is based out of SAGU, who is in the Sooner Athletic Conference, just put in the chat, in the Sooner, if teams are ranked in the top 20 and are tied for first in the conference, the winner of the head-to-head matchup gets the auto bid.
Wow. That's crazy how they do that.
Thank goodness Texas Wesleyan didn't get in the top 20 as well.
Or we would have really been.
So, wow, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. Hey, we appreciate our friends from Champion Sports Network. Thank you for letting us know that.
They are the GOATs, absolutely. So, yeah, that's crazy.
We'll come back to that. Let's go ahead and talk about some of these games because I know you have the graphics up. St. St. Xavier's been nothing but impressive. I misspoke. 8 wins in a row. It's been 9 wins now.
Yep.
You know, they kept the St. Francis offense off the field, I thought. You know, they had the less mistakes, and I feel like Stuart Ross did enough to manage the game to win it. I hate to use the word manage, but he was efficient enough for them to win it.
Yeah, and it's...
And, of course, Justin Pringle comes up huge. But go ahead.
Yeah, and it's huge being 6 of 13 on third and fourth down conversions, just staying on the field, getting it done, not having to give the ball back, which St. Francis did several times down near the end. This one wasn't as close. Benedictine takes care of business against Mid-American Nazarene. Garrett Kettle had an absolute day. He is him with 5 touchdowns total on the day.
You know, let me collect my thoughts, Corey. I'm sorry. Benedictine comes in and they do what they're supposed to do, Corey. You know, the guys out of Atchison are back in the NAIA playoffs, and they only have the one hiccup, which was a missed field goal from being the number 2 seed Grandview. And credit the Mid-American Nazarene. They have turned the ship around over there. I see them as a playoff perennial team in the future.
Absolutely. They're going to be a real problem over there. They're doing a great job. This game and the Avila game is why Bethel is unfortunately going to be sitting at home. Southwestern beats Kansas Wesleyan 26-20, and the Southwestern defense is doing a great job of keeping Kansas Wesleyan out of the touch.
They started buckling up, Corey. You know, Kansas Wesleyan was ahead in this game for the longest, it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas Wesleyan got that touchdown off a pick six, and then a field goal return blocked for a touchdown, a kick six, and that's all the scoring they had touchdown wise. Otherwise, they had 2 field goals, and they were there. You know, what can I say? Brad Cagle has beaten Kansas Wesleyan 3 consecutive seasons with Southwestern. My man is a coyote killer.
That's his nickname, Coyote Killer.
And then the game that pushed Georgetown out is Lindsey Wilson, Georgetown. Georgetown just couldn't keep their offense going. They had just an absolute brilliant. They were like 7 of 8 on fourth down or some absurd number like that, but they just could not sustain drives.
You know, I'm wondering how long Lindsey Wilson can stay in the playoffs. I know we're supposed to talk about the games from yesterday, but, you know, I feel like just some teams have kind of showed blueprints on how to beat Lindsey Wilson. And, you know, even from the Thomas More game, going back to there where they only won 12-3. But they're gritty, Corey. They're very gritty, and especially behind that new quarterback, Ethan Cash, for this 2022 season.
And then the game that really kind of threw a monkey wrench into the plans. Carroll College of Idaho. College of Idaho loses their quarterback. They are 3 of 16, which is not 88%. That is 18% on third and fourth downs, including 0 of 12 on third down.
Well, you know, we talked about College of Idaho cashing the insurance policy, Corey. They were a couple games up in the Frontier, and, you know, they really kind of limped down the stretch, I feel like, the last 4 games of the season, and that's why they find themselves out of the playoffs.
And Carroll gets in on points allowed. They had their defense was solid, about by 40 points over College of Idaho. And so we're thankful for our friends from AdCraft. They let us do what we do here, and let us get to these national championship games. We're so thankful for them. We didn't want to get too much further in without mentioning them. John, do you want to do the players of the week, and then we'll circle back and see if our guest is ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine, Corey. Is there any way you could screenshot and tweet out the graphic for people that aren't watching the field? If not, I can try to do it real quick.
We'll get it after we're done.
Okay.
Either that or I can figure it out from here. So our player of the week, on the offensive side of the ball is Ryan Cole, who absolutely had a dadgum day. 270 rushing yards, 90 receiving yards, 5 total touchdowns. My stars and garters. I just...
It's like what a running back usually does against Hastings, even though this is Hastings' best year in like a decade, I feel like.
Yeah, and I just that was a no-brainer. That was a no-brainer.
Hastings had a great year, but to stay on more of Ryan, just the fact that he was able to touch the ball 33 times and make an impact each time, whether getting his 4 receptions or being the workhorse of almost getting 30 rush attempts. They should have gave him one more just to say he rushed the ball 30 times.
For real. So hopefully we'll see. Morningside was playing with their backup quarterback this for the last couple of games, as Joe Dolanchek had an injured finger. We should see him back for the playoffs, but it's just another one of them Morningside running backs that everyone now has to worry about that they didn't know existed 1 year prior.
Right.
On the defense, we had Colby Comesher with a pick six.
Good job announcing.
Thanks.
Announcing that word.
Among 3 interceptions and 5 tackles, Concordia had a field day with St. Francis last week.
Yeah, 2 teams that saw their season kind of end not where they want. They've been used to making the playoffs over there, and he made his impact on the field and ended the season the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a fantastic job there. And let's start looking through the matchups and let's kind of get an idea. Here's the surprise one of it just threw us for a loop, and that's going to be Morningside Arizona Christian. Now, before we get too many people all fired up about these numbers and how I'm getting them, these are SP Plus. These are Bill Connolly who works for the worldwide leader in sports, ESPN. These are his numbers, and these are his SP Plus rankings that he. This is the first year that they are in the NAIA, so they're still a little rough, but they're good at least for looking at. They are opponent and tempo adjusted, so that's why we like using those numbers. John, is there?
Hey, Cory.
Yeah.
1 second. Sorry, I had to get that tweet out.
Yep, no worries.
It's important. So, anyways, the winner, we knew that whoever got the bid of the Sooner was going to get the tallest task. It was either going to be them or Dickinson State. Arizona Christian gets the lucky task of trying to just be a giant killer. And I don't see it happening, Cory. Joe Dolanchek's fixing to return back. And like I said, they have a history of just being bullies in the first round. No first-round opponent has ever stuck up to Morningside.
All right. We now have our guest in tow. Thank you to Dr. Jesse Gotting from the Southwest Assemblies of God University, SAGU in Waxahachie, Texas. Dr. Gotting, welcome to the NAIAFBALL live show.
Hey, guys. How are you tonight?
We're doing well. Thank you for joining us.
Got over the excitement of that reveal, I guess.
Woo, doggy, did we
the
ever?
Business of it, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like Christmas morning for us.
Absolutely.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we appreciate what you guys do for NAIA football. So.
Dr. Gotting, off the top, I'll just go ahead and say congratulations to SAGU getting to host a second consecutive Victory Bowl. Just before we get to the NAIA playoffs, tell me what it means for SAGU to host 2 consecutive Victory Bowls.
Well, it means that we're not quite elite in our conference. No, it's pretty cool. Obviously it's a great thing to be a part of. The NCCA puts it together. It's not a championship, but it is an opportunity for 2 NCCA teams to play at the end of the year and kind of showcase the not only the talent of NAIA football, but also be able to work together and do some fellowship and a Christian service project. And so that part of it's pretty neat. And, we've been part of this. Will be our fourth one. And every one of them has been special to our kids. And so and really for us, it's a great opportunity. All of it Nazarene is coming down to Waxahachie here to play. And the reality is that this is a regional matchup that wouldn't otherwise happen, and those are rare in the NAIA, as you guys know. So it's good in that sense as well.
Yeah, we love seeing those, and we would love to have more bowl games on the schedule. I know it's hard to do. Dr. Guy, I think the first thing that's kind of on everyone's radar is the shock pick, so to speak. Talk about comparing Sagu and Arizona Christian there. I know y'all played them both, and I know that's the Sooner champ.
So I guess let's add Texas Wesleyan in there as well, since it's a three-way tie.
No doubt. With the Sooner Athletic Conference, we kind of faced a situation this year where 3 teams finishing with 2 losses, 3 teams tied for our championship. We don't name a champion for conference purposes, but we do name a champion for the automatic qualifier purposes. And the first thing is that they have to be ranked in the top 20. So this year, unfortunately, I think Texas Wesleyan got into the poll, but this is the second year in a row, in my opinion. I'm biased. I'm, from the Sooner Conference, but second year in a row that Wesleyan's kind of been overlooked by the Raiders. I think they are a very, very good football team, and would really like to get them a chance to prove that. And this is the second year that they've been with 2 losses. They did the unthinkable in the NAIA last year and lost late. So this year, though, if you look at their defense and offense, they're ranked in top 10 in a number of categories, and it's because they're good. With the top 20, then we had the situation of today. If all 3 of them would have gotten into the top 20, then we would have faced a 3-way tiebreaker, which for our conference would be head-to-head, which was all 1-1, and then descending order for the tiebreaker after that. And with the descending order, it would have been OUAZ because they won what would have been the definitive tiebreaker with a win over Louisiana Christian, who both Texas Wesleyan and Arizona Christian lost to. So, but with only 2 of them getting in, then we faced the scenario of who won the head-to-head. And in the top 20, Arizona Christian finished at 20, and OUAZ finished at 19. And so by virtue of Arizona Christian getting into the top 20, they had won the head-to-head, and they became our automatic qualifier.
The other one I kind of want to ask about is the one that's going to get a little bit of I don't want to say heat, because we kind of knew it was coming, kind of had an idea after Southwestern and Avila both won yesterday. But, a very similar situation in the KCAC where 3 teams there on a round-robin loss to each other. Talk to us about the hard decisions there in the KCAC.
Yeah, that was difficult. And, probably more than anything, the National Selection Committee relied on what the ARC was telling us for that. The Raiders throughout the year had, this is kind of an interesting thing, but the Raiders throughout the year, Avila beat Southwestern, but the ratings never quite adjusted for that. And Southwestern stayed ahead of the Avila for the entire year, and still were ranked ahead of them this year, even though they had lost this week, even though they had lost the head-to-head. Then you had Bethel that I don't know if people, there's lots of reasons people rate the way that they do. Bethel's been a very good program, but they did not seem to be rated along the same, whether it was in the ARC or with the ratings, they did not seem to be rated at the same level as Southwestern and Avila this year. And so when national selection, which, that fourth at large was difficult. You kind of had to sort through a lot of information there, and we kind of relied heavily on what the ARC was telling us at that point.
John, do you have any that you want to ask about real quick?
I guess the only other question I have is, when we look at NAIA teams, certain ones, I feel like we look at a lot of the win-loss records, obviously, because it matters. It's the only thing that matters at the end of the day is win-loss records. What would you say, I guess, to the teams that might go play up a level, and take some close losses to like a Division II NCAA or a FCS NCAA? Do you think that's should that be held against them, or is that just something that everything just has to be individually looked at within context for our Raiders?
Man, John, I think Raiders have wrestled with that ever since we started the rating system. And, you take Kaiser this year and you look at their situation where they had 3 losses early. I don't know that having played up and lost 3 times, if they would have lost again, I'm not sure that they would have been considered for, serious consideration for at large with 4 losses. Now they ran the table, which Kaiser's a very good football team. They ran the table and ended up getting the automatic qualifier in the Sun. But you always, I remember when I first started rating, I remember talking to a Raider about this very thing and like, do you punish people for a loss? Is a loss a loss a loss? Or is there a difference between going to play a non-scholarship 1AA and losing and winning, or going to play a scholarship 1AA and losing and winning, or going to play, what level of D2 are you playing? Because frankly, if some teams in the NAIA lost to a D2, that's a bad loss. Not necessarily a good loss. And
right.
So, I questioned, okay, what weight do you give all of this? And you can go all the way back to Mike Van Diest, the old Carroll coach, who, would stand up in front of the football coaches and go, NAIA football is not a level, it's just NAIA football. Go play who you want to play, and if you play them, then you either win or lose, but it's not I lost to this or I lost to that. It's just I played an NAIA football game. And of course, Mike had some teams that could go beat Portland State and some of those. So might have been a little easier.
Absolute legend. Yeah.
Might have been a little easier for him to say that. But at the same point, I think that's something that Raiders wrestle with. That one Raider, when I started, told me there's a difference between losing to a non-scholarship 1AA and a scholarship 1AA, or a high-level D2. Or a D2 from not very good conference or the bottom, and you kind of have to feel your way through it. You take Kaiser this year, their losses, I think one a D2, right, Mississippi College, and then they played up a couple times 1AA, I think.
Yes, sir. Valdosta State and Lindenwood.
We were looking at it today, and somebody made the comment about, well, Kaiser's a pretty good 12 team. Might be one of the better 12 teams I've ever seen in the NAIA playoffs. And it was because they kept losing and they kept going down, and it's tough to climb back up, especially this year. You guys follow this quite a bit. Not many people lost where there was a ton of movement from about week 8 on in the top 20. And we had a lot of 0-loss teams, 1-loss teams late in the year. And that created kind of a logjam for people to move up and down.
Yeah, it was hard to. It was definitely. Go ahead, John.
Excuse me. would you maybe agree with the assessment that for 2022, a lot of good, maybe even great teams are left out this year that they would be in a normal season? And then, I guess, would you just agree with that assessment for this year, just how strong the field is this year?
Yeah, I do agree with that, John. And I kind of wonder, this might be some interesting research for you and Cory to do and send it to me so I don't do it myself. But I wonder, even looking at the rankings, we had 2 lost teams left out, and then you look at a 1 loss team staying home in the playoffs. Well, I know that's happened before. But if you look at the teams that are winning, I wonder if in NAIA football, we're not seeing a case of haves and have-nots that is somewhat separating. And so we have 1, 2, maybe 3 elite teams in a conference, and then you have the rest of the conference that maybe isn't as competitive. So overall, that kind of gap between the haves and have-nots in a conference may be creating just what you're talking about, John. We're really strong field, 1 loss teams, 2 loss teams being left out of the playoffs. And, is that and this is completely anecdotal on my part, guys. I have nothing to back this up, but, maybe just a trend that could continue.
Dr. Godding, I have just one thing left to say. And first, just thank you for joining us tonight, being willing to jump on this stream with us. We absolutely love that, we'd have somebody willing to come on here with us. And then the last thing is,
I didn't know I had a choice.
we want to come get you. But the last thing is that, you mentioned anecdotal data. Since me and Cory have been covering this, the past 5 seasons, I believe, I think it's very important to know that, yes, some great teams got left out, but since we've been covering it the past 5 years, there has not really been a Cinderella run from the higher seeds, if that makes sense. So I think that's something worth noting. But Dr. Godding, I appreciate you being here with us tonight. Cory, I'm going to let you wrap it up so the good man can get on with his Sunday night.
Absolutely. No, I think you're right. I think we are seeing a little bit actually more parity just from my eye test. But I do think that it is more in the mid levels that we're seeing more parity, where middle and down are seeing a lot more parity, and you do have some elites separating up. But I'll echo John here. Thank you so much for coming on tonight and explaining to us and being willing to have us ask the questions. I know last year you weren't able to do it. You got sick right at the last second and weren't able to come on with us. So we are very happy to have you on, and we appreciate all you do for NAIA football. We appreciate all SAGU does for NAIA football. Just a top-notch organization, especially in terms of production level of streaming games. It is the best at the level, and I've let everyone know who will listen that SAGU has the best broadcasts around.
I appreciate that, Cory. That's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming on.
Have a great night.
All right.
Dr. Jesse Godding from SAGU. And John, before we get gone here, let's just walk through real quick the participants in this here dance. Who got on the dance floor? We already did Morningside and Arizona Christian. Let's go to Grandview and Carroll. This is a whale of a matchup. I feel like this is an old school NAIA matchup right here.
Yeah, so, and I know distance-wise, I think it's like 1,000 miles apart from the two, between Helena, Montana, and Grandview. But it feels regional.
It almost does.
Feels
yeah.
regional. And Cory, Would you agree that maybe we just talk about these matchups generally, and maybe me and you come together and give our predictions maybe later in the week?
I like that idea. Let's do that.
I just digest this a little bit, man.
I will.
I got a lot to digest here. Obviously, like I told Dr. Gotti, it's very rare to see, double-digit seeds make runs in the NAIA playoffs. But if there ever was a year, this would be the year, 2022. But let's keep going.
Yeah, got that one. I will point out, just because it's one of those fun little things. Quarterback Johnny Sullivan and linebacker Rocky Schoenfelder are cousins.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's one of those little things, and I can't pick against Grandview because they'll never let me forget it. Let me tell you. Over to the other side of Iowa, Northwestern gets what now, honestly, it feels like their yearly matchup with Dickinson State at this point.
Yeah, I feel like, let me look it up, Corey. Because
it's been 3 out of the last 4 years. I can tell you that beyond a shadow of a doubt.
So they are 2-2 against each other out of the 4 matchups. They started in 2016, was the first matchup, 2021, the most recent one with Northwestern winning. This could be huge not only for Dickinson State, but for the North Star fans in that conference. They should be rooting for Dickinson State.
Absolutely. Over in the other half of the United States, Bethel and Kaiser. That's going to be a whale of a game with Mike Jasper going up against Doug Sosha there. A real battle of coaches. I don't expect to see either coach really out-coaching the other there.
Well, you got Bethel, who's been a physical brand of football, versus, basically a Seahawk fast team. Bethel's already beat the sister of the Mid-South with the Appalachian Conference champion, who we're going to talk about a little bit. Can they beat the other sister, the Sun Conference over there? They used to be big little family there recently. Can Bethel knock off both of them?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later on in the week, but yes, I think that is the big question. Indiana Wesleyan Avila, a little bird cat matchup here. Avila getting in. John, it feels like the last few years Avila's been just on the outside looking in, and they got it done on the field this season to take it out of the hands of the selection committee.
I was watching a little film against Xander Stokes when he had the win against Marion, and I realized he's able to efficiently pass, but not just efficiently pass in general, but really get the ball downfield in vertical passing games at times. This is going to be an interesting matchup, especially with Indiana Wesleyan. They made the playoffs last year, but they technically have not played a playoff game yet. I'm looking to see how this young program handles a playoff atmosphere, and the same goes for Avila. This is the first time they've ever been in the playoffs, Corey.
I think
so. This is a unique matchup.
I think this is a good one for Indiana Wesleyan to get their toes back in the water to get in with. Benedictine, man, they have been explosive on offense all year long and have been absolutely good enough on defense to make things happen. Southwestern's been good all around with what they're doing. Multi-quarterback system over there. You never know if you're going to get Thomas Yam, Brad Cagle. You never know who's going to start for Southwestern.
For Southwestern to win this game, their defense has to continue to show up like it has all season. Looking forward to this one.
A little bit of crossover matchup here between Marion and St. Xavier. Look, if you can keep Pringle down from St. Xavier, you're going to be fine. If you're Marion, you've got a whale of a defense. You've got a quarterback who is getting hot the right time with Bundalo, and this you should be able to handle your business.
I'm eager to see what St. Xavier can do against this Marion Knight defense. I think they're going to have to beat them passing, Corey. I don't see them running the ball in Marion.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult. Marion's shown a real propensity to swarm to the ball, against pretty much everybody. I mean, even Indiana Wesleyan had to chunk the ball against them. So that's it. Don't matter who you are. And our last matchup here is going to be Lindsey Wilson Reinhardt. John, maybe it's me, but I think this is the one I'm looking forward to most out of all of them.
Like I said, both teams have been, kind of had like vulnerable moments in the season, but they've been very gritty still, though. It's basically what team can out-grit the other one.
For real. Yeah, Lindsey Wilson has been a stat darling all season. They've got a great defense that goes for a lot of tackles for loss, a lot of sacks, led by Luke Bowman. And they're good enough through the air with Ethan Cash to get it done. Reinhardt's done well. Devin Collins has just been a beast. But I'm looking forward to seeing that matchup specifically. So here is your field. John, what do you think?
Like I said, I think we definitely need to save these predictions once we get time to, to soak in the information. Obviously, we see the top two seeds making it pretty far. For sure, they're the fit-ins for the semifinals, in my opinion. I think the rest is just figuring out the rest of the field.
Yeah, and remember, guys, that this is going to be reseeded here after this round. So we get to do this all the heck over again. Woohoo!
And the reason for that is travel, guys. Like we said, they try to make it affordable throughout the playoffs. It doesn't matter who you got put in front of you, just win. What does it take, Corey? 4 games to win it all?
Yeah, that sounds about right. First round, quarter semis, and yeah, you get there. So, and you know who makes us get there? It's not 4 games for us. It's all these guys you see here on your screen, our patrons. They help pay the way for us to get to the national championship game. I won't labor the point and read them all through tonight, but we are so thankful for what they do. That they are the ones who make sure we are able to do what we do here. John, any last thoughts about?
No, just I'm excited to take the information in and get to these predictions later in the week.
Absolutely. So, for what we've got here, we will be back later when when we're not dropping frames like crazy and I'm not in a hotel room here. We'll actually get some good internet here. So we apologize for the any sort of internet issues that you've had tonight. So we'll see you later on in the week. For John Cooper, I'm Corey Thorpe, and we'll see you later.